Hi, and welcome back to the Always Right podcast. I'm author Carissa DeLay, and this is my co host.
Jamie Vendera.
Welcome back, Jamie. What have you been up to?
You want the truth or
No,
not?
you got to be real. Remember, we're organic.
Okay. I haven't been up to writing like I'm supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
So we probably need to do a podcast on that. I'm up to these new headphones and they're freaking me out because they're isolation headphones. And they're sounding to me like I'm in a box. So
you can't hear the outside world at all?
No, now I can. So somebody's breaking in. I don't know.
That's like those Apple ones where it's like you can either completely take away the world or you can listen to your music and still have the world in it.
Yep.
Ugh. I would be freaked out because I'd be like, I can't hear anything.
I got a set that's worse than this. Let me do this. A set of Bose headphones that a student of mine sent me as a gift. Thank you, Stan. And you can, same thing. You can hear outside or you can isolate it in and nothing. Everything's gone. Okay, now I'm back to going. I hear you. It's like I got my fingers plugged in my ears.
Right now, you just need to listen to me.
All right.
The outside world doesn't matter right now. All right. So
you know what does matter?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Get your fresh drink of water from Copper.
Okay. It's my 30-second. Let's count down. All right. Today's topic.
Book signings.
Yes. Hallelujah. I was afraid I was going to have to scroll down through my notes and go to something else.
Oh, no. You're good. You're on point today.
Okay. It's a miracle.
Something that I love to do. And we've done this together, actually. But something that might be a little overwhelming for an author that may be introverted is doing a book signing. But it's a really great way to meet your fans. It's a good way to get your book out there that maybe people don't even know you've written. So it's a great way to navigate this new world as an author and even as a veteran author to go out there and kind of put yourself out there as far as your book goes. So before we get started on some of the, tips, what is your favorite time you've ever went and did a book signing?
You want the truth?
Always.
I just said that because I said it earlier. Going with you. Mm-hmm. We had such a blast. And I love that bookstore in German Village.
German Village, yes, the Book Loft.
Yes. Oh, wow. What a bookstore.
Yeah, I did two there. I did one by myself, and then I did one with you.
Was that before or after me?
I did it before. That's why they knew me that day.
Okay.
Because they went back and looked at like sales and stuff. And that's how I kind of knew kind of navigating wise what they expected as far as the sales and what percentage you get. And I always would, have a great time. And if you've never been to the Book Loft in German Village, Ohio, it's in downtown Ohio. It's literally, I think, what?
Downtown Ohio. Downtown Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, yeah, Columbus, Ohio. My bad.
Downtown Ohio,
Right, yeah, it's like an OAR song. No, it's in German Village, which is southern part of Columbus. So it's not necessarily in Columbus. It's like a little suburb. But it's such a cute little town. Every little brick houses, little tiny streets, all that stuff. But it's like 31 rooms of books, and they break them up based on what genre they are. And so we've talked about this before. You go in there, it's a labyrinth of books, and you can get lost.
Yep.
You're like, hey, I'm in sci-fi right now. Where are you? You come find me and help me get
She
back.
is not joking. My wife and I would go there, and she'd be like, "Where? I've been looking for you forever." I was like, "I'm 14 rooms away."
Yeah, I'm in the basement. Turn left, and then go right, and then I'm around the corner at aisle 4.
Man, that'd be fun to play like hide and seek in that place. It's huge.
Although I feel like it'd be super creepy at night. I feel like it'd be like a really good ghost story. I should put that as a ghost story sometime. Like,
ghost of
the Book Loft. They have any stories about that because it is a very old building. All right. Anyways, so something that I also love is my favorite book signings. They're always at the Book Loft. But I've done a lot, so I've had a lot of successful ones. What about you?
I haven't done a lot of them, and it's sad for me to say that because I publish so many books. But
a lot of your stuff's not print.
Huh?
Yeah, a lot of your stuff isn't in print either, so it's very hard.
Because we do a lot of the Kindle, and a lot of we're waiting to, like, a lot of my nonfiction books are, and some of the fiction are, but you know, we'll eventually have them out in print. But it's just with what I do, they were already selling really well, and I have done sort of signings like at colleges, and or if I'm out of the country, I don't take books with me, but I've had so many people, like if I'm doing a workshop in India, kind of shocked me. People were coming in for lessons like, will you sign this book? I love Raise Your Voice, and I've had it forever.
Yeah.
So,
That would be, yeah, that would be pretty cool.
but there's so many opportunities. I mean, we've done, I know you've done some at libraries, I believe. I know that we've
Yeah,
went
and
to.
you've been to you went to a couple with me. Which, just for the record, your publisher's like your backstage crew. You should always make sure that you invite your publisher if they're available. You should make sure that they've got your back when it comes to helping you with promo stuff too, because if they're a really good publisher, they're going to make sure that they're supporting you on social media and stuff, like sharing your content, putting your content out on their pages, making sure that when you're doing something to promote your book, they're there for you. So
Yeah, and you know, talking about like coming to watch you at the libraries or stuff, that's kind of branching out on these book signings, because there is a book signing where you would go to a bookstore,
mhm,
or you could do a presentation on whatever your book is about, whether it's
mhm,
fiction or nonfiction. You could even read a
mhm,
part of your book, and that could be something you set up with libraries or festivals. So
mhm.
there's a lot of opportunities to get your name out there. But you know,
Yep,
I
and
guess
I've done all of those, and they're
yeah,
so much fun.
and before you did them, you researched those locations.
Yeah, and here's something most artists, I say this, authors don't know. You are an artist, so go to art festivals. Go to festivals because and I did this in, so I lived about an hour and a half from Grove City, and an hour 2 hours from another place in northern Columbus area. And I wrote a letter to their Chamber of Commerce about a upcoming festival that was for artists. So they had, people making bracelets, people with paintings, people with clothing, like all different types of art, mediums, but they didn't have book people. And I remember talking to this guy, his name was Andy, and he was in the Chamber of Commerce, and he had this thing, and I was like, hey, could I do like a tent? Like, it was all these festivals are tented, so and some of them require you to have a white tent. So I always just went ahead and bought the white covered tent canopy thing, and I was like, could I apply to be an artist at this event? I'm like, writing is an art form, and like I kind of sold it to him as though, this is something that should be considered an art genre. He's like, this is a great idea. So I went in. We set up the very first year. He'd had been doing it for like 8 years or something like that. I can't remember. We went in. It was in like a little parking lot, and I think it was called Arts in the Alley. And we set up, and we had this table, and I had painted like the reverse version of my book and had it in the backdrop. I had the dress that the character on the front cover had wore, and a piece of jewelry I made specifically for that had like something in everything in that tent went about the books. I had printed material, and then I had my books laid out on my table, all these things. The following year, he had a completely long alley space connected to that whole thing just for book artists.
Wow.
He messaged me. He's like, "You're coming back, right?" He's like, "Because we've got more artists that want to come as book authors that didn't even realize we could do this." I'm like, "Yes, let's do this." So we had like our own author alley. It was great.
So, I mean, it makes a good point, because if you want to do book signings, you got to do your research. And I mean, you can start small, especially if you're like, you know, if you're kind of introverted, but you can reach out to your local libraries. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of times they will have a specific day where they promote, local authors. You can
Yeah, they'll
reach
usually.
out. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. No.
Reach out to bookstores, or what you did is what I love, because you're thinking outside the box. Say if you were a horror writer and Halloween was coming up and there was a Halloween festival,
Mm-hmm.
or we have close to where I live in Ohio, the Mothman Festival.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you could be like, oh, I wrote a book, about aliens or UFOs. They're having a festival. I need to reach out. I need to do some research online, find out who I need to contact, see if I can set up and sell books there. You have tons of opportunities to
Yes.
get your name out there.
Yes. Yes. So you were talking about libraries, and I've done several at libraries. I've done some libraries near you. I did libraries near myself. I've done libraries in different locations. And the thing about libraries is they don't necessarily do one author. They do like an author event typically, where they'll have multiple authors and they'll just have kind of like a room set apart or an area in the library where they have a bunch of tables set up and each author gets a table. And it's like a limited situation where they may only have 10 authors and first come, first serve. So once you sign up, make sure you're on there. And I think the one that closer to you, it was pretty cool because they had the author event with the books. They had this printed material, had every author on there. And at the end, I was like, hey, let's all sign this and give it to the library. So we all like kind of signed the thing. And at the end, the library is like, this is a great idea. You know, like having all the authors sign it and then we can give it away. But when you do the library thing, you have to realize you're not going to be the only person there. So you have to realize you may be there with like 8 other authors. So you have to think, what is going to bring people to my table? What is going to bring people in? Are they going to pass me by? And I'm a huge person on presentation is the first, like it's kind of like what is it? Appearance, like don't judge a book by its cover. Well, I do judge a book table based on how are you bringing me in? Are you just got books on there? You can use stuff from the Dollar Tree to create amazing book tables to promote your book. And so just like coming in, like wanting to talk to you, gives you an opportunity to speak to readers because people that are coming read books. So.
Exactly.
And you don't want to have that nightmare of a silent room. You know what I
No,
mean?
so that's why you really need to plan ahead for this. Look, what is your book about?
Mhm.
So if
Yeah,
I'm going to see Terry Brooks, who did the Shannara series, he could have some elf stones from one of the books sitting there.
Mhm. Yeah. And so with like when I have, okay, this is something that kind of a list of things that I take every time I do a book signing. I take a tripod for my books. So if I have one book, I have the main cover sitting on a tripod. It's sitting up. I change the angles. I have some books sitting on the side and I have some sitting between bookends, get a creative bookend. And because of Crystal Gate, you can see on my backdrop right back there, I have 2 blue crystals that are like, I can't point in the mirror that hold those books together. I would have those set with my books in between. Also underneath, sometimes the libraries make sure you understand what they're providing you. They may only provide you with a white or black or whatever 6-foot table. You need a tablecloth. You know what I mean? You need something to cover it. So know the dimensions and what you need. Like you gotta be prepared. Do a dress rehearsal so you have everything. I feel like because I've done it so much, I knew exactly what I needed. I take old crates and I'll put old crates on there and I'll cover them with like another drop cloth or another tablecloth to create highs and lows. So that way when people are coming, they can see things and they don't have to always look down. They can look at me and still see my book in their peripheral vision. Things that are drawing people in. But when I was talking about dress rehearsals, something that I did was practice my signature. Did you ever do that?
No, because you've seen my signature, but that is a definitely good point because people are like, "Can I get your autograph? Would you sign the book?"
And you have like split seconds to put a little quip there or like a little like sign your name and then the year. You got to decide, how am I going to sign books? And I tell you, I would think of things. I would write down, okay, maybe 5 different things. So like if you have 5 people coming for a book and you write the same 5 notes, people are like, oh, they didn't make it personal.
Exactly.
So you might want to do a little dress rehearsal of your signature, but you also might want to write down a few little ideas of like, oh, thank you for reading. Thanks for being a fan. Or if they've not read your book, be like, excited to hear from you and how you enjoyed the book, sign your name. So make sure you listen. Have they read your book? Have they not read your book, and how to sign that? And maybe take some sticky notes with you. I suggest taking a little pad of sticky notes. And if someone's name's weird, say, hey, can you spell that for me? Write it down first, and then you can reference it when you're getting ready to sign their name. So.
Yeah, but that's why you engage with the attendees too, because I know you don't have so much time. It depends on how many people are coming through, but you may be engaged and be like, oh, I'm a writer as well. I aspire to be like you, and you remember, you be like, oh, keep writing, blah 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 blah, whatever you want to say that's personal to them as well.
Yeah, and yeah. Also, something you want to have on your table, and here's the thing. You have a tablecloth. Remember, when you put a piece of paper on tablecloth and you try to sign on that, it's probably going to like punch through. So maybe get a clipboard, get something you can put on there, and you can hand to people like, hey, here, sign up for an email, or uh, something as far as like you can send. So for the next book signing, you can send out like newsletters or whatever, that kind of thing.
Yep, you definitely want to collect their email addresses, and if
Mm-hmm.
I even suggest making business cards. Like with 7-Eleven Press, we even had
Mm-hmm.
even better than that. We had a business card, but it was an actual. Why am I drawing a blank? You open a book, and you put a bookmark.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I made bookmarks for mine.
Yes, I remember. So we had 7-Eleven Press with like 4 or 5 of the book series right on there. So,
Yeah.
get them interested. If you've written several books and you don't want to bring every single book that you've written, have a backdrop. They have the ones now that you can make and you can pull up.
That's what I
And you
had.
can and show. Like I do
Mm-hmm.
that. I haven't done that with books. Speaking of which, I need to get with you because I have an idea for making me one, and of course I'll have you design it. But when I do
Well,
workshops, we do
so
that.
what I did, and this is just, I mean, you can have the ones where you pull, which mine was a travel case, which I think you remember. It was like a travel case.
Yep.
Easy one over your shoulder, and you just pulled it up, and it was like, I think maybe 7 foot tall. And it was always my backdrop. But the cool thing was I couldn't decide on what I wanted to have printed on it because I was ever changing. I was adding books and I didn't have like so many. Um, I got a black one with it was like a felt, and every poster that I would do, we would put Velcro on the back of it so we could change what we were putting on there. That's an idea,
Smart idea.
But I was also doing several things. I wasn't just doing book signings. I was at that time we were doing my friend Sherry and I. We were doing wedding venue events. So I had my cakes and she had her flowers. So we would put stuff up on there. So we utilized that system for other types of things. So it wasn't just for book signings. So that's the only reason I was like, I can't commit to one. I have to have like 12. But yeah, but those pull up things are amazing. They're beautifully done when you use a high resolution picture, and they invite people in because it just looks nice. You know what I mean? What was I going to say? The sign up sheet. So you need your sign up sheet for your email, but you also need to like do a little Q&A, like have any questions about the book. If someone has read the book, do they have questions about the characters, what's coming in the next book? You can also do that. Like, hey, at this time, if you're here at this time, I'm going to do a little Q&A. And so that kind of brings people like, oh yeah, I got to know what happens to Ben. I got to know what happens to Charlie. I got to know what happens to this person. So that's a good opportunity to get people invited into your next writing project.
Event.
I was like, what am I talking about? Project.
Yes. Yeah, make sure. Yeah, definitely get those emails, or even use a QR code. Set something up where they can go and find you.
QR codes are amazing.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure like on the backdrops you could do that as well. Because I thought about individual QR codes, but that's too much. But just boom, take them right to Vendera Publishing. They can see all the 7-Eleven Press books.
Oh, yeah. Well, and so on the back of my business card, because I do like 500 things, the front of my business card, I think I showed it to you, is basically a pretty picture that's like just beautiful with my name, how to say my name, and all the things that I do. It just has like underlisted who I am, like author, tattoo artist, stylist, blah, blah. Okay. And podcaster. So it has those listed very fine. That's the front. It's just pretty. You flip it over, it's super busy. It's got like a QR code. It's got my website. It's got all the icons for Facebook, Instagram, all this stuff. And then on the side, it has a salon that I work for. It has my logo for the tattoo shop. So it has like all these things that I'm doing, the way to contact me and stuff. But then there's this QR code that takes you to Vendera that can take you to all my outlets. You can go to Always Write Podcast. You can go to my website. You can go to my author stuff. So there's a central location where you can find me and figure out, who am I? So yeah, just got to find out where you want people to go.
I don't know where I want them to go. I guess so, I'm like you. I guess so many things. I think I'll just.
Well, but the thing is, that's maybe that's something we need to put on your website. So if your publisher has you on your and on their website, and you're more than just an author, you can ask them, say, hey, can you in my author page put all the little links of how people can find me? But if you can send them to the main website, then they can click off from the website. You know what I mean? So maybe we should put that on your thing. Like,
yeah, that's already on the list. I'm actually revamping the whole website. to focus on that more on the publishing side, because a lot of people, it's funny. I just got a text from a friend of mine, Brad Bear, and I work with Sean Daniel Media, and Sean's been filming for Dr. Vox, and Brad's doing some edits on it. So I see he's working on it.
I love your Dr. Vox commercials. They're
Oh,
hilarious.
they're going to get even funnier.
I'm excited.
But he he said to me one day, he says, I don't really, how come you never really talk about your fiction books? And I was like, wow, and this is even, we're giving you this information you need to do. What happened with me is being a coach and being on TV and doing so much of that. I have a creative mind, so I'm writing fiction like crazy, but I'm not giving it the same energy as I was everything else. And I'm like, he just said this a few months ago. I said, you're absolutely right. That's like, I'm really passionate about. I know you're like, yep, Jamie, get on board. So whatever you write, you have to go at it like they're your children. You're proud. You're posting those pictures of your baby. You got to be on social media. Which brings me to my point.
I was super proud of you because the other day I liked it, but you did a little video to music with your book covers. See, that's great. It had music. It was on your page.
Well, I have ideas, yes, and that's what I need to do with going through that.
And then I can go behind the scenes on Vendera and share that through as a publishing company. And that's the thing. Promoting. That is a huge thing with your book signings. You got
exactly.
To promote.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. That was the point I was making. You have to be on social media, and you have to promote. I have a guy I went to high school with, Jay Willis. Love you, Jay. Great author, local author, and he's constantly promoting and going to every book signing that he can. So you got to get the word out.
Yeah. So some of the other tips, well, of course, to follow up with promoting.
Yep.
You want to make sure you're putting it on Facebook. You want to make sure you're putting it on Instagram. Not everybody follows Facebook and not everybody follows Instagram. You also want to make sure that the venue that you're going to is promoting you. Because I have seen, and I'm not going to name any names, I have seen authors who say, I'm going to be here, and then they'll tag the location, but then you go to the location and you look and they don't have the author listed. Make sure they are promoting you and make sure that they understand how to tag.
The tip is I always assume they're not promoting you because a library will hold these events or a bookstore will hold the events. And a lot of times they just do this all the time anyway, and they don't focus, but you need that promotion. So you have to be the promoter and take it into your hands.
Yeah. And if you have the means to use a little financial advertising, it's not expensive. 30 days before your book signing, you can actually go on Facebook, you can go on Instagram, and you could do a promo, and you can set your parameters. Like, I want to spend $50. And it will tell you, if I'm spending $50, it's going to reach X amount of people, and it's going to cost you this much each day. Now, if you up it, it'll expand how many people it's reaching. Don't be silly. You're not going to get someone 100 miles away coming to your book signing.
So no, but you can tag it. You can fine tune it. People who love horror fiction, YA fantasy.
And age. It's gonna. And what it's gonna do when you're going through Facebook is like, hey, you may be interested. It will literally find those people within that parameter, and it will kind of push that to them, depending on how much you spend. Because if you kind of narrow your interests and you kind of raise the money, don't do the 100-mile thing. I usually do like a 50-mile radius, typically. Is what I do, and it's 50 miles from where your location is going to be for the book signing, and it will go in that 50 miles from each point, because sometimes people are like, I need something to do. I'm willing to go 50 miles for like, I want to go to Jackson, Ohio and get Michael's ice cream, or I want to go to the Spot on Main and get some of their amazing coffee. So people may come to those locations while, like, I'm getting two birds with one stone. I get to get a good ice cream. I get to go get this. I get to go whatever, but I'm also going to do this book signing while I'm there.
Now, that's if you're doing a signing close to where you live. Like if Columbus is like 2 hours for me, so I would target Columbus and not do that radius.
That's what I'm saying. You want to target not your area. You want to target the location of the book signing. So that way you're like, okay, if you're in the location of German Village, be like, hey, stop by for the book signing while you come and have what was that? There's a German restaurant there.
I know. I was going to mention it earlier. I can't remember where we ate, but it was awesome.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Slaughtercarbon. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's a German name, but they have amazing food. Yes. So you can be like, while you're here and you tag that location, come to the book loft and get a book signed.
I feel like it was just yesterday we ate there.
Oh, so good. So
Ah,
good. Okay, giveaways. So something I like to do is giveaways. We talked about bookmarks, and I even oh, I gotta sneeze.
I like to give away sneezes.
Yes,
There's my bonus.
yeah. So
Bless you.
some kind of swag that has to do with your book. And what I would do is so I had, when I did Crystal Gate the first time, I had paperback and I had hardback. And ironically, I sold a lot of hardbacks, which is very rare. But the reason I think I sold so many was because if you purchased a hardback, which is typically more expensive, you got a crystal bookmark. So it's a metal bookmark, and at the end, it each had like different jewels and stuff, and it had a crystal on the end of it. And so it would hang over your book and just drop down. And I had so many people could choose which one they wanted, but if they only bought a hardback,
Yeah, that was a great idea, by the way.
yeah, and it worked. So, but even swag, depending on how much you're wanting to put into it, think of things you want to do and have a giveaway, and think, well, if I was doing this, what would I want?
I could see me designing now I have to look this up. If there's a place that you could design a coin to tie in with Age of the Sigil.
Oh, yes, because I know you can. And I know because I know the military does it. You can design military coins specifically.
That is cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see it like the cover of Sigil with the 4 tattoos.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So I will try to find the website for you. Maybe you can design yourself a coin.
That's
That would
cool.
be really cool. Yeah. Okay. So we've talked about making sure you're promoting, because you don't want that silent room. Like I said, you want to make sure that you know what to expect. What are they providing you? Are they providing you a table, or do you have to bring your own table? How big the table is? What do you have to bring as far as that go? Also, always set up early. It's like
Indeed.
I always talk about my notes. Here's my notes. And I have this big like thing, like the POW in a comic book. It's like promote. Always set up early, because you're going to have people that are early birds. There's always an early bird to everything. And they're going to watch you set up and they're going to distract you. So make sure you get there and you're already ready to go. Practice your signing of your name. And one thing I would say is, do not try anything new that day. Do not try new makeup. Do not try new moisturizer. Don't try new perfume that might make you smell really weird. Go with what is a constant good, because if your skin breaks out or you start getting itchy or whatever because you tried something new, it may not bode well for you as an author signing a book. Like, my author's got scabies. Know what, when I said when you know what to expect, also know what the percentage sales wise that you get, because sometimes when you go to the book loft, your book might be $30, but you may only get 80 or $8 of it. You know what I mean? And when do I get my money? The book loft sends you a check once. So you take your book, you say I have X amount of books, and they will take it to the checkout. If they purchase your book, then you will get a check from the book loft like maybe 2 or 3 weeks later. So you don't get it instantly. But also know what that is. I always donate a book. I always
Yeah.
like, when I'm done, I always donate a book to whoever allowed me to do a book signing, whether it's a library or whether it's a business. I always donate one and I sign it. So that's always nice.
And if you have a friend, and if you don't, you can do this yourself, but
If you don't have
capture
friends,
that moment. I mean, have people taking pictures of people holding your book with you, videos, so that you can, you want to promote your event as well, so you can set
do
it up
that
for
while
the
you're there. So when you get a little minute
Oh
and
yeah,
you're taking pictures, post it, tag the location that you're in, and be like, "Thanks for blah blah for stopping by. If you're still got time, come on out." That kind of thing. Keep it
and this
going.
day and age, I mean, you could do Facebook Live. You want to do your Q&A Facebook Live? That would be awesome.
Yeah. Which we've done. You've been to the Q&As that I've done, but we did one for Before the World Was Lost, and that one came from a speaking event from a round table group that was in a town that they came down, did the speaking thing for aliens. And then someone in the library said, hey, she wrote a book about this. And then they started asking me questions. And then after the fact, they're like, hey, you should totally do a thing about this. So the people that were there ended up like marking on their calendar, and we set a date and we did a little speaking event and did a presentation on the book and stuff. And that was kind of fun. So what else?
I think that about sums it up.
Yeah, we went over everything for like your book signings. Yeah, and when you're a new author, make sure that you get enough books, from your publishing company. Don't buy them from Amazon.
No. And I know some authors, but if I do that, it ups my ratings.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it's not, because it's you're buying your own
Amazon
books.
knows that you're buying your own books.
Yeah. So don't do that. And plus, I mean, part of going to a book signing is also you want to make a profit. So you don't want to, be buying all these books at full price through Amazon, thinking that's going to help you there, and you spent hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, to basically give these books away for free.
Yep. Something that you could also, when you're doing, whenever you are purchasing, so this is something that a lot of people are like, oh, I need the Amazon stuff. Amazon's the only location readers go to find out if a book has been rated high. When you do a signing event, say, hey, make sure you go to Goodreads, go to these other forms of ratings that people look for, and make sure you give me a shout out, because then you're going to get a lot of people sharing like your book on there, and people are like, oh, they like this book, and so I know that I will probably like this book. So just share that stuff. Also, you can, when you're printing, when you have stuff at your table, this is something I think I just lightly touched on, I want to finish with. When you have stuff in your book visual, like I had maps and stuff like that, print that stuff on like high quality print, either whether it's cardstock or whatever it is. Do not have little pieces of paper laying around. Find ways to, like up there with the Always Right podcast thing right there. That's one of those clear, kind of like a stand thing that you just slide the paper in. Get those and have those at high and low places, so it has little things about your book, like maybe or even an upcoming book, like this is book 1 and here's the cover for book 2. Kind of get that out there, bringing people in, finding unique ways to draw in your stuff. So that's why I was talking about dress rehearsals. Put it all out, make sure it looks good, and how you take pictures so when you go, you're all ready to go when you go to your book signing. So we need to do book signings.
Yes, we do.
You need to come.
I know. I need to quit being lazy.
You need to come to Florida.
Yep.
We need to do a beach signing.
That would be cool.
There you go. Get Dr. Vox to like come to Florida and do something with the voice. That stand in your voice.
Yes. Let's clear it out.
Dr. Vox, clear it out. Okay. All right. Okay, as always, we love that you follow and listen to us, and we appreciate all your support. But we'd also like it if you would share our podcast with your friends, fellow aspiring writers, or just in general, just put it out there. Say, hey, this has helped me. But if you are interested in knowing more about our podcast, you can go to alwayswritepodcast.com. where we have little icons you can click, and it'll take you to our YouTube, take you to our Twitter, take you to our Instagram, our Facebook, all of our social media, and it'll take you to some of our listening platforms, which are pretty much everyone that you listen through. If you have questions that would pertain to our episodes, or you have questions about writing that you would like to see an episode about, or in general, just writing questions, you can send an email to alwayswritepodcast@gmail.com, and I will get back to you if it is a legit question, and we will address it possibly on the podcast. So,
indeed.
Yes, as always, thank you for listening.
She said.
Yeah. As always, thank you for listening. And I am author Carissa DeLay with my co-host,
author Jamie Vendera, and we'll see you in the next podcast.
Thanks for listening.